You know, when you're talking to someone that is daring to be authentic, or someone that will like actually, I can tell, like when people, I mean, I can't always tell. That was very like cocky. I really enjoy when someone is conversating with me and they're really into it. Like they're engaging with me with their eyes. The questions that they're asking are actually like sincere, you know, compared to somebody else that's maybe just asking questions, or maybe not even asking questions. It's like, hey, like they're questions like not meant to be answered kind of questions.
Welcome back to another episode of Authentic Identity. I'm your host, Blake. We'll have to excuse my brethren, Jared and Mitchell. They are out of town. They're busy. They're busy bees humming and buzzing around that beehive, but they're gone this week. So it's just me, and I have an excellent guest today, one of my dear friends, Jane Williams. Hello, Jane.
Hello.
Looking gorgeous as ever.
Thank
Jane
you.
is awesome. So I brought Jane on today because we got the pleasure to edit her audiobook. She went through us at Blueform. By the way, we do audiobooks. If you need one done, let us know. We'll help you out. But we got to record your audiobook that you narrated.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, and then we edited it completely. So
and you
just
guys
polishing
nailed it.
We did. And that was largely Mallory doing a lot of that, the legwork on that one. So we switched. So the next book we did, I did a lot of it too. But it was great. It was awesome. You did so good at reading, because that's a hard thing to do, is narration. To narrate a book.
Yeah. It really was. It was an experience. I feel the biggest thing was I would like forget how to breathe, because I'd be like, okay, I got to be so close. And then, wait, how do I breathe? Like it,
and
I can get in my head.
Yeah, we use a different type of microphone. That's a condenser mic that picks up every little thing. These are dynamic, so they have like a focused range. So if I go like this, like it doesn't really pick up. Sounds like I'm falling off a building, or like someone driving by in a car. Like, you'll hear that. So for all you weirdos out there that like audio, dynamic mic, condenser mic, though, it will pick up anything. If I drop a pin in the corner of this room, or like there's a mouse with a cold over there, like it'll pick it up. And so when we had Jane on the mic, you know, any type of mouth or anything. So
swallowing. That was another one, was swallowing. I'm like, I wonder if I swallow, is gonna like, are you gonna hear me swallow?
Yes. We heard all of your thoughts. We heard your soul. We could hear your heartbeat. No, I'm just kidding. But that's kind of like that room is treated, and then we make some adjustments for podcasting versus doing an audiobook. We put up some more sound dampening, but it works well. Okay. And so your book sounded great. And then
it did.
Mal did the edit there. So that's how we got to know Jane. And how did we bump into you? I think it was through Cody.
No, it's through Mallory. I threw a Facebook, I don't know what to do. Like, I needed editing, I think is what it was. I don't even think it was for audio. I think it genuinely was the editing. And then Mallory's like, hey, I totally got you. I'm like, cool, really? And then the rest is history.
That's cool. Yeah. So we love Jane. And the reason you're on the Authentic Identity podcast is because on this podcast, we focus on finding our true self, our authentic self, right? The whole premise of this podcast was kind of built off this idea, or rather a study. They put a bunch of people in a room. I think they tested up to 2,000 people, something like that. I don't know. I'm probably wrong on everything when I recite statistics on this podcast, but yeah, they put 1 million people, and 45% and 30% of, 45% of statistics are 30% of all statistics.
I'd be like, really?
Yeah. Wow.
Whoa.
He said percentages. Yeah. So,
I believe you now.
Yeah. Oh, that means it's true. So, but anyway, they measured everyone's emotions. I think they did it individually and then in a large group. And they brought these people through a range of emotions like happiness, joy, anger, lust, revenge, like jealousy, whatever you could think of, they tested. And they were able to measure the frequencies in the room based off of people's emotions.
No way.
And guess what the highest one was?
Oh. I
mean,
don't even know.
What do you think would be high, like up there?
Maybe like a group of people, like maybe like anxiety might be kind of high, insecurities, fear.
Yeah, I'm like fear.
Things like that. Yeah, I feel like those would be ones that I would have to put in check. Like, hold on, Jane.
What is that, right? And I guess it could measure strongly, but it could still be like a lower frequency, like a lower vibration, but it could still be strong or weak, right? But I'm not sure. I got to look at the details on this. I probably should if I'm telling the story of how we started our podcast. But it's in line with what we wanted. But the biggest and the most impactful thing they could measure by far, like by this huge margin, was when someone's their authentic self, it resonates.
No way.
Yeah, when your authenticity is like the highest measurable thing. And I don't even think they were planning on actually uncovering that. But when people started showing authenticity, it just went off the charts. And so, being your true, like authentic self, if you say something that is authentically you, it doesn't have to be like an original idea, but it's just authentically like what you believe, and what you are, then it's just a higher resonating frequency. And so when you can tell when someone's being super genuine, when they're being their true self, like you meet somebody at a party or a business meeting, or, you know, you shake hands across the table for business. And like, that's how you can tell when someone's off and they're not, maybe
you can tell
they're too much like a used car salesman, you know, like, hey, how are you, buddy? Like, come on, man. You like that meme, he slaps the hood of the car. You can fit so many XYZ in this baby, you know, this thing will go so many miles. But that kind of like ingenuine or disingenuous kind of feeling is definitely palpable. I don't know if you've had experiences like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It feels so good to talk to somebody that you can tell is engaging.
Yeah.
You know, they engage with more than just words. They also engage in a way that follows conversation. You know, sometimes you're around people and you can tell that it's disingenuine or whatever that word. I don't know how you said it.
Or you can't get a word in. Or
and
just
you're
about
just like,
them.
You didn't even hear me. Like, all right, cool. Like, I get where this is. Interestingly, actually, I wonder if it sets the tone as well. So when you have someone that's authentically approaching you, or you have this authentic relationship with or conversation, it sets the tone of that moment. If someone doesn't, then the tone is like, all right, whatever. This is going to be surface. I'm not going to really expose a lot of vulnerability here. I'll probably just keep it, just because it'll be worthless. Like,
why would I, you know, don't cast your pearls before the swine kind of concept, you know, like why would I share this with
my
you?
Pearls?
Yeah. Leave my pearls alone. But that's why you're here, Jane, is because you're a fucking awesome human being. We love working with you, and your book, we'll intro you in a second here, but your book is called Simple Jane. Where can people find it?
On Amazon.
That's right.
Yeah. It's on Audible.
Audible. Okay, you're on Audible now.
Audible. Yep. I still need to figure out the other platforms. We'll do. Yeah. But right now, Audible and Amazon. I do have a website that I created. It's pretty fancy, you know, made by yours truly.
Right.
Called thesimplejanes.com.
Thesimplejanes.com.
Yeah.
Awesome. But so Jane, you're a hairstylist currently.
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
So what possesses somebody to write a book?
Oh, gosh, that is such a good question. I'm obsessed with reading. Love reading so much.
Also,
love learning.
Keep going. Don't mind me. I'm just going to light this up.
Ooh, light it up.
Yes.
Whew. It's going to smell good.
It does smell good.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe.
So what possesses a person?
Yeah. Okay. So, you know, I love writing in general. Like, more like journaling. I don't know how to like write like at all, really. But then I wanted to share my story, I guess. I wanted to write my story. I had a friend that approached me and said, I want to know your story. You should write. I'm like, okay. So I did. And I started writing, and genuinely, I try to think, because I've had this question asked to me before, and so I'm trying to think when it switched. Like, when did it switch from like me just writing to like me like writing to share? And it's blurry. It's a blurry line for me. But within probably the first couple years, I thought, okay, I think I could actually maybe like sell this. Like, I remember writing manifesting things like New York Times #1 bestseller. You know, Wayne Dyer is going to write my foreword or something. You know, but he's not around right now, so that doesn't work anymore. So I'm manifesting. I'm going to have to switch that up a bit. Yeah. And I don't even have a foreword, so it's fine. I have a dedication. It's fine.
There you go.
But yeah, so that's probably like the timing just felt good. I had a few extra hours each week to devote to, like, I had been homeschooling and my kids were in extracurricular classes. And I'm like, what would I do with myself with 2 hours every Tuesday and Thursday? I guess I will write. So I started that. Yeah.
So like, do you say you don't like to, you just like to write almost to express?
Yeah, I really, writing helps me view the world. Like, it helps me articulate it in a way that I get to see parts of myself that I don't get to within meditation or talking to people. It like gets me deeper into the like who Jane is. Like, I'm like, whoa, I didn't even know that about you, Jane. Let's find out more. And then I write, and then I find out that I get, like, I really love metaphors. And so I'll like start thinking and like, whoa, that's so cool that I see the world like that. Like, I should write about it.
Yeah.
And then, so I really, and that's honestly like my heart for Simple Jane in like the platform would be to have others write their story to find out more about who they are. Like, I found out a fuckload about who I was writing that book.
Do you know how perfect that is? It's how in line that is with this podcast.
Yes. Like, well, I didn't, but now I do.
Would you say, so you found more like true self. Yeah. You find out more. You're able to like unpack and analyze things when you write.
I definitely do.
Okay, so you would you say then you found more of your authenticity just by writing and expressing?
Absolutely, cool. Absolutely. And you also, I started like refining my craft too. Maybe at the beginning, 8 years ago when I started writing, versus the Jane who writes now, I would have a better grasp on what I like to write about and how it flows. And I know kind of where my pitfalls are a little bit. I flip up my words a little bit, and they call them, my friends call them Janeisms, because it's a flipped up way of talking. And, but it's how I am. It doesn't read well, so it needs editing. And I've come to terms with that. So it's fine. It's great.
I mean, that in the end, though, I don't think that really matters. I think it matters to some degree. But for the purposes and the intention that you put out, like, what was the intention or goal for you writing a book? Was it just self-expression or money? Or is it?
At the beginning, it was probably I wanted to write my story. Like, I wanted to be like, okay, who's Jane? Like, I should just write and find out. Like, I should write and express who Jane is. Mm-hmm. And it was more in maybe the sequence of my life.
Sure.
Whereas later on, the self-discovery turned into the deepness of who Jane is, or the like how I would think and how I would think maybe others think, and how would I be able to communicate with them, and are there other ways of communication other than just talking? Like, what else is there in the words and the act, like in the actions? And so that probably the self-discovery just became so much deeper in writing. And I don't know. I don't know if I'm answering the question, but that's kind of where I'm like flowing with. It's where the flow took me.
That's a great answer though. Cause like, I usually a lot of people think, oh, if I was to write a book, like I would need to go through something like amazing or climb Mount Everest or create a $1 billion company or something like that. Right. Mm-hmm. And then I love how simple, to tie it into your title as well, Simple Jane.
Love it.
Just like how simple and pure your motives were to write a book. You're just like, I'm just expressing my story, me.
Yeah.
And it's simple. And there's not like a Mount Everest story. There's just struggles that are so relatable though. Like I found myself editing your book and I was like, I'm like kind of reading these books, you know, growing up, or self-help books, or even like a fantasy book. It's like, there's always like this huge obstacle, or like, you know, they got to take the ring to Mount Doom. Like it's like this
Mordor
epic tale, right?
Absolutely.
And we're really used to being like dazzled. But I found myself, I'm like, I don't know if, has Jane done anything like crazy? Do I not know? Like, has Jane hiked Mount Everest or something? I'm like, she's written a book. And then I'm just listening to your book and I'm like, this is like to a T simple. And then I found myself actually being like 100% relating to how you grew up, because you grew up Mormon. I grew up Mormon.
Yeah.
And the things you were saying, I like could not shake out of my head for weeks. I was like,
really? I sat with you for weeks. Ooh, see, that's when you know it wasn't me. It was something bigger.
Yeah, but it's such a relatable story because it's you, and it's very average, but it's detailed, and it's like, it's what we all experience to some degree of this, like the death of our inner child almost. Like the inner child, your first couple of chapters of the book are so powerful because I was that kid too. I was obnoxious, loud. I was all over the place. I was super imaginative, and like it just gets beaten out of you.
It does.
To comply, to be in line, to line up for recess.
Can you just be normal?
Yeah, just be normal.
Yeah.
Just don't be a headache for me, right? For us. And you become a burden for everybody. And that's why I love your book. I fucking love your book because it's like, I didn't think I would relate to, you know, a female like this. I didn't think I would relate to a lady author telling her story. And I was like, here I was relating like 100%. I was like, of course, there's a lot of differences growing up male and female in our society, but
sure. Yeah,
it's like, it's just it kind of grabbed me while I was editing it. I was actually like excited to keep editing. And like,
I love that.
It was cool.
I love that.
We get to see behind the curtain a little bit, right? So yeah, I think if we haven't, we are going to buy your book. I think we have.
I'm bringing you a signed copy. Are you kidding me? I just forgot it. Today was just so impromptu. It's like, yes, I will come over right now. I know, but I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you a copy that's signed.
Jane is so clutch because Mitch and Jared are out of town, and I had a guest lined up this week, but they had to reschedule. And I was like, oh man. And I'm looking at the list of people that I've written down. I can show you my journal. I'm like, who do I want on the Authentic Identity? And you're like number 3.
Hell yeah.
I was like, so-and-so, so-and-so. Yeah, I'm like, Jane. And Jane's personality, like, you're just unabashedly you. 100% super bubbly, always happy. I don't think, Mal, I don't think we've ever had an interaction with Jane. And we've had quite a bit because you were here reading an audiobook for how many hours?
Lots.
I mean,
a lot.
We've probably spent over 30 hours with Jane, right? So,
gosh,
there's never been an interaction where we've ever felt lacking or drained or anything. It's like we're always recharged when Jane comes over. Aww. That's just what you have that ability. And
Thank you.
And I think that's your superpower. And I'm sorry that like society beat that out of you as a kid.
Oh, it's weird. It's weird. And coming back to her it's scary to come back sometimes to yourself. And because I don't really know why I changed, you know? And that's why writing the story, when you express your story, you start to be like, oh, this is why. I start to see the shaping. It's subtle. It's little. I wanted to be liked. I was loud. I had dreams that other people couldn't relate with. They didn't have this like, don't you want to do these insane things like, you know, live in a tree house and like they're like, no, we just want to go on a date. Like,
we just want to be normal.
We just want to be normal.
We just want to comply with society.
Just please comply, please.
Yeah.
I just didn't do that. And I think that even now, I mean, if I'm being radically honest with myself, it's still it feels scary to be myself fully or to be like expressionitive with the way that I am. I'm like
expressive.
Yeah.
Expressionative. I like that though. That's
Jainism.
A Jainism.
Make note, please. It's a new word.
Let it be written. Oh, Joe's bouncing. Shout out to Joe,
Nice to meet you.
our
Nice
intern.
To meet you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Cool. And yeah, you can go out that side door or the front door. Just the dogs, they'll attack you either way. So, yeah.
Thanks,
Cool.
Joe.
Thanks, Joe. Joe's one of our interns, and he's been killing the game. Yeah. Thanks, brother. Yeah, Joe's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems
Shout out
great.
to Marcus as well, our other intern. He just couldn't make it tonight, but Joe
Woo,
and
Marcus.
Marcus, 2 interns. They're awesome.
Look at you guys scaling by interns.
I know, it's kinda
Hell
weird.
yeah.
I know. Yeah. It's weird.
Dude, I love
We have
this.
interns. That's kind of cool.
You do. You guys are kind of
Yeah.
a big deal.
It doesn't feel like it, but thank you. That means a lot. So,
It's so real.
but let's tell the audience real quick what you're drinking there.
Whiskey sour, is it? What is it?
Amaretto.
Oh, it's an
Amaretto's.
amaretto sour. It's fabulous.
That's Mallory's favorite drink.
Oh, it is. It is really good. You nailed it with the egg whites. Oof. Just all of it. It's got the great little burn.
Yeah, that's the whiskey. Yeah. So it's
I do love
amaretto,
whiskey.
some simple syrup, and then lemon juice, and then whiskey with an egg white, shaken. What's called a dry shake first with no ice. So it gets the egg white. The egg white adds the texture and the froth and everything. And
Yeah, there was quite a bit of froth.
yeah,
Froth.
froth.
That's how I speak. I don't need no F. We don't need froth.
Jane makes her own Fs to give. She gives out her own Fs. That's awesome.
I just got no whiffs. It's fine. Oh. It's a fine
Jane,
deal.
you want to try and exercise with me?
1,000,000%.
Breathe in,
Okay.
and when you breathe out, sigh the F word into the microphone.
Fuck.
Yeah,
Did it work?
it's like a fuck.
Oh,
I think I want to do.
One.
I think if Mal gets her yoga like teaching license, I
Yeah.
don't know. Do you have to be licensed to teach yoga? Like licensed to kill?
Oh.
Licensed to yoga. you
Licensed
get
to
certified to
yoga.
teach yoga, Mal. I'm
Yeah.
gonna get I should probably also get certified, and I can just have like a dude's yoga. So instead of being like chaturanga vagnasana gonna go, we could just be like, fuck. You know.
That's funny you say that. I was with some girlfriends last night, and one of the girls was a teacher. She's been a teacher. It's amazing. She was actually my very first yoga instructor. It was amazing.
Do we know her? Is this
Yes, Brittany.
Brittany? Okay.
Yes, Brittany Watts.
I think we
so
met
this is
her.
her first. Well, so we did a little baby shower for her last night. It was darling. She's amazing. Oh God, it's so cute. I won't sidetrack. There was one of the girls that said, after class, will you please say namaste, bitches? And so she did after class. Everybody's there. And she's like, namaste, bitches.
I love that. Did she say it like super casual though? Like, namaste, bitches.
Ooh, I don't know because I wasn't there. I wished I would have been. I would have been like, namaste, bitch. It would have been amazing.
Hey, you want to go? Namaste. Bitches. I love that joke. But yeah,
instead
that's
of we just say fuck.
yeah. Fuck.
Fuck.
Yeah, like I don't know. I think I could do like a dude's yoga. Would be fun.
Dude
'Cause,
yoga. I think they do have a thing called dude yoga. I'm like not even kidding. I'm real.
There's just like chips and salsa
Google
everywhere. Everyone's wearing like Eagles
Whiskey.
jerseys and shit. Like their favorite team, you know.
Yeah, I like it.
And like doing yoga in like an NHL sweater, like a jersey. They call them sweaters. Yeah.
Dude
that would be
yoga,
hilarious.
guys.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it'd be like. I do feel like the classes are mostly girls. There are not a ton of
Oh.
dudes.
You want to hear? So I want to keep unpacking your story.
There's
But
a
I
lot
do
to
have a
unpack.
strategy.
Okay.
So I know you've become single,
I have.
right? If you don't, I'm at 2 divorces in my lifetime. I don't know
Yes.
how many you're at.
I am at 2 as well.
2 at well, okay.
Yeah. We're twinners.
That's like the benchmark nowadays, unfortunately.
Like, have you even lived
Yeah.
if you haven't been divorced twice? Come
least
on.
once.
Like, put
Yeah.
that on your resume of like, yeah, it's my dirty laundry, fine.
Yeah. Well, I think people are standing up for their true self, I think, more than ever.
Yeah, that's actually
I think there's
true.
a lot of tragedy around divorce. But I know there's a lot of good around divorce as well. And if it is tragic at first, people are choosing, I think, higher paths. And so I think good comes of it. And no matter what life deals you, right? Whether you're paralyzed from the neck down or you're, whatever tragedy, and thank God, like knock on wood, none of that's happened.
I knocked it.
Yeah, I got it for you.
Thanks.
Double. But yeah, none of that is plagued us. But something like that, I think, is an opportunity to grow.
Yeah.
I learned a lot from my divorces. And I think the scales were tipped in the other parties of like the scales of fault, I think, were in their corner because of infidelity and other things. But
that's hard.
But it's really not, though, at the end of the day. Like time just goes on. Everything just goes, But with you, I know that's a part of your book as well.
It is. First divorce, at least.
The first one.
Second divorce, sorry, friends, if you haven't read it, it does not end that way. It is still a very much... I made notes of it, like that I had the love of my life. It leaves it a little open, but it definitely talks about the first one. And the first marriage was tricky in divorce. I got married so young. I was 18.
Oh my gosh.
I was 1 month into my 18 year. Like I was such a baby,
Tis the Mormon way.
Whew, it was. And then I think it was probably within 6 months, I'm like, oh, like we're doing this forever now? I don't know. And so I remember there were probably like 3 times at really solid points within my first marriage that I was like, I want a divorce. And you just wouldn't. Like you couldn't. Like you wouldn't have a divorce because you just couldn't in the culture. And then towards the end, I'm like, I kind of don't need anybody's permission. And that's in my book.
Yeah, you don't need permission.
I remember that was one moment. So this is a moment in Simple Jane. I did write it down because it is so empowering to me. As I remember, my parents were like, I'd really, you need to go see your bishop. This is to get divorced. And I was like, oh God, okay, whatever. So I go see their bishop because their bishop needs to somehow give me permission.
Their bishop?
Their bishop.
Not even like where you acted?
I was living in their basement.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So they were very much a part of like,
so you
I
separated.
was getting divorced. And so They were like, you need to go to our bishop. I was like, oh God, okay. So I go to their bishop and I'm sitting there and he's like, okay, so tell me like, why are you getting a divorce? I'm like, because we're like, whatever my reasons were. I don't need to get into all the reasons, and then he looked at me and he's like, I do not approve this divorce. And I remember as if it was yesterday or right now in this moment, it was as if something was set free. It was like, it felt so good. And I'm like, I remember just really politely looking at him like, I appreciate that that's where you feel, but I don't need your permission to get divorced. Thank you. I'm not here for even me. I'm here for my parents out of respect for them. So, do what you need to do. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And so farewell.
I don't want to zoom in. We don't need to go any further in the details, but I want to just take that apart for a second. So how long had you been, visiting that ward or like in your parents' basement during the separation at that time?
It had been a minute, probably like a year.
Okay, so a year.
Yeah, like we had been saving. We moved from San Diego, and when we moved back to Utah.
Okay, so you were there with your husband, like in a basement apartment kind of thing.
Yeah. Like in their basement. Yep.
Gotcha.
And so they were letting us, like we were saving for home.
Sorry to interrupt, but had you been separated?
No.
So you were still living together, and then you decided you wanted a divorce.
Yeah. And I remember too, like when we were talking, like we had become great roommates at this point. Like we had never, like I wanted like a partner to go like find out the depths of what life is about. And he was okay with his place in the world. Like that wasn't ever somewhere. And it wasn't how we started. Like we didn't start out that way. I was like, I mean, I had great clothes. I had all the things, but I wouldn't say that I had depth, because depth wasn't something that was, I had it. I just didn't express it. So it wasn't something of how we built any kind of relationship. It was just it was fun and friendship and like on all the levels of like juicy, delicious, like in just not in spirituality, whatever that even means, right? It just was surface. It wasn't like, do you know my heart? Do you know what like makes me happy and sad? Do I know what that, like whatever.
There's layers of intimacy that aren't physical.
It wasn't deeply intimate.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you guys, was it amicable? Like everybody?
It was.
You guys were good?
Yeah. It was up until we got divorced, and then I met my current ex.
So up until the divorce, everything was amicable, and then someone else stole your heart, and then
and then that was when it was like Jane's been, because I decided to get married very quick after.
Okay.
So that like quickness in the marriage was like, oh, you've got to be pregnant. Like you're totally fucked up. No wonder you got divorced. I'm like, no, it
leaves a lot of room for speculation.
So much room. And I can see it. I don't blame anybody for doing that. But yeah, it was not ideal for my image. That's for sure.
Yeah. But at this time, when you, out of respect for your parents, went and met with your religious leader, if you're not familiar with LDS terms, a bishop is kind of a pastor of the congregation, right? Locally. Mm-hmm. And in the LDS faith and in the church, the bishop, you kind of have to go and give penance for your sins through a bishop, depending on the severity of them. Sometimes you have to go seek leadership in the church to basically judge your level of sin. And some people might find that bothersome to hear if they're LDS, but like it is extremely mind-boggling to me. So now that I've left the religion, and I have nothing but the utmost respect for the people that are there practicing it, but
yeah, me as well.
It just makes no logical sense for me to go and speak with an individual who doesn't know me as well. There's very rare instances where you're actually pretty close with your bishop. I had that luxury growing up. I was pretty close with mine. Dang. Because he was like also my scout leader for a while, and then he got called. So it was like, and then his daughter was my age, so we always just excuse me, we congregated at their house, so I was always there. So anyway, he had my back, but why would you go tell your deep dark secrets to an old man that you don't know?
You don't even know.
Right. They have no idea. And so you go and you go meet with your bishop to see if he approves or not of your divorce.
Yeah, it's so weird. And well, I mean, granted, I got married in the Mormon temple, so I was supposed to get a Mormon like divorce. I don't know what it's called, but it's like, because I'm sealed forever and ever, never ending. So they're like, well, you need to not be sealed forever, ever, never ending. And I'm like, but I'm not, because I don't believe in it. So
yeah,
like I don't care. Like, okay, fine. If I end up like later on, it's the right one. I guess I got someone up there. I just need to know my secret handshake, and I'm going to be right up in there with them. Yeah. Like, it's going to be fine. So for me, I was not. It just didn't hold weight. It didn't hold any weight, because I don't. And there's even a thing that's like, what's loosed in heaven is loosed on whatever on earth or something. It was like, it's loosed. Yeah. It's done. It's like
as above, so below, or something.
Yeah, I'm like, it's not something I really hold a lot of. I didn't go opposite the other way either, though. I'm not going to. I mean, I'm being very facetious a little bit.
No,
and I'm
honest.
Teasing. And, to some people it would be very offensive. So I apologize for any offensiveness in that way, because I don't mean to be like a jackass. It's silly to me.
I'll be the jackass.
You can be the jackass. I'll refrain.
I told her to say these things. This is 100% scripted.
Fault.
This is my fault.
He put it in the drink.
I am the jackass here. Everything that I have told Jane to say, there's a teleprompter right here that you can't see. She's a paid actress.
It's true.
No.
I'm pretty damn good too.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
But, in all honesty, like it's something that, if God's, I just kept remembering thinking that, like, if God's a big enough God that this is like the only church, then he's a big enough God to lead me back then. Like, it's a big enough, like, God is bigger than religion to me. It's bigger than, like, and whatever it is, like, something inside of me is bigger than what this is. And so I think you can meet that source anywhere. Like, whether it's in a Mormon church, a Mormon temple, like work, I'm working on clients and I swear I meet that, like, that source inside of me that makes me giddy. It's amazing. So I don't know. I don't know that it needs God in that way, but
you just nailed it. Like, I was just looking something up. I'm going to touch on it in a minute, but God, I think, is bigger. You're 100% right. That resonated with me a lot. It's way bigger than, even in the scriptures, it says it's the, is it the letter of the law or like the actual principle that's being taught, that's being adhered to. And so I find it so comical that you had to go through some third party that doesn't know you, that knows very little of the whole situation, to approve of your divorce or not. And that's just not at all like in line with like true individuality and true power and agency.
Absolutely. But you don't get a lot of agency in religion. Mm-mm. So it would make sense. It matches with, the protocol of what religion taught and teaches. And it's tough. If you're trying to control that many people, you got to have some pretty strict guidelines. And, for me too, what really helped set me free from religion, so to speak, in a way that gave me permission to go back to Jane. Because that's really what my book does, is it goes, through spirituality and religion, I question it all the time. And so it's this coming back to myself. I remember picking up the Bible as a novel, that I'm just going to read it. It was something where I'm like, there's got to be something, like, this is where so many religions were born. Like, there's got to be something in here. Yeah. So I'm like trying to gobble it up, and I love reading anyway. So I'm reading it like a novel, and I had blast. Like, it was so fun. But I remember getting to John or something like that, like in the New Testament. It was like he's talking about how he has this relationship with God, who is his father, and then he's the son, but that we're all in him if you're in Christ Jesus. And I'm like, well, I want to say I'm in Christ Jesus, and at some point I have been, and if life is relative, like, I might say that in the future. So how does that make sense? And so I'm like, wait a minute, like, I'm already there. I'm already connected. Like, I don't need, like, and then it talks about your body being the Holy of Holies. And I'm like, hold up. And there's no condemnation for those that are in Christ Jesus. So I'm like, so I'm not supposed to be condemned. My body is the Holy of Holies. And I have a straight up connection with the deity of all creation.
Yeah.
Let's see. So I'm supposed to go to a building or to a person to say that I can get divorced? How about I go inside and I find myself and I talk to myself and I get to know who this voice is inside of me?
Yeah.
That makes a whole lot more sense to the bright-eyed blue little girl, like these blue little eyes, as a baby, a kid that I was like seeing the world through. And it felt effortless to believe in this beautiful life around me. That feels more true to who Jane is than the Jane who gets ready on a Sunday morning. She's looking pretty damn fine with a nice little outfit, but she's not playing in the trees anymore. She's not looking up at the sky and getting dirty. Like, she became the person that just like stands outside talking compared to being outside experiencing. So I'm like, I want to be a little version of both, I still like the standing up, and
it's good to go back and forth, but I totally get what you're saying, because in this situation, really what they wanted you to do was comply with the standards that are set forth by the religion. They want you to comply in those ways, but the harder thing to do, I think, the harder path, if you have a decision in life, you have a desire, and then you have what other people's expectations are, a society, a culture, a country or your family or a spouse, right? Like there's not even considering what I would call responsibilities, right? Because I think if you bring children into this world, that's a responsibility you should adhere to regardless. But an expectation, a societal expectation is one way, and then your desires is the other way. Now, if you're responsible and you're taking care of your children or, whatever your responsibilities are, like, running a company or whatever, that's over there. But your desires and other people's expectations. And one of them is the path less traveled by. Like, which one do you think it is usually?
Oh, I think the path less followed is the one that is your own internal path that you're desired. Yeah. Absolutely.
So what you desired was companionship at a deeper level, and to break away from this structured religion life, which is great for some people, but a lot of people are shedding it to go pursue different, more fulfilling, more adventurous forms of spirituality, I think, that actually perpetuate growth, that perpetuate true meaning to you, the individual. Yeah. And so that's what you picked. It wasn't about, something you did in the Mormon temple or, something you did. Like those agreements with your spouse at the time were kind of cast aside, and your desires took front row seat, and you actually acted on them.
Dude, and it felt good.
It felt great.
It felt good to my heart, but it did not feel good for the repercussions of what happened. Yeah. That part's tricky. Again, and then it makes you want to like, okay, just kidding. Stop it. Stop putting your eyes on me. Like, go look at your own damn selves. Like, yeah. So I'm messing up and I have all these like red flags in my life. Like, it's just weird. It was just like, I don't know. And then I think I probably trauma bonded pretty quick to, getting into a new relationship.
Right into the next, yeah.
But, and that's something great. I mean, I'll totally admit that is what happened. And I think there was deep connection. I mean, we were married 13 years. So
So you got what you wanted, a deeper connection.
I did. I got a deeper connection. And I think now I'm like, all right, I'm going to get really clear and figure out like, what do I really want? Who am I?
Yeah.
What kind of things do we want to do? What is that authenticity that really comes out? Or is it something that I'm programmed in feeling? And man, learning about like vibrational energy and the way that it's connected, I'm like, wow, what am I vibrating? Like, what is that? And getting deeper in touch with myself. And I feel like maybe if it's real, then you vibrate and we attract rad friendships and like, it's great.
Yeah, we
all connected.
We would have never met if you hadn't vibrated at a frequency that like you wanted to share your story. You wanted to dig deeper into who you were. So you wrote a book kind of in a way selfishly, but also it's not selfish because now I'm now relating to what you've gone through. And so you've accomplished like what you desired was more self-understanding and expression. And then a byproduct of that is that you've helped me do the same. I'm like, man, if Jane can write a book, like I should finish my book. I've been writing a science fiction for a while, and I will scrap a chapter. I'll write it, scrap it. I lost a lot of it in a divorce. She took the computer and didn't save the file. I'm like, so anyway, long story, but yeah, you chose the harder path. What age were you, by the way, when you got your first divorce?
I think I was 26.
That's the same age I got my first divorce. Yeah. I think that's when your brain actually fully develops is like between 25 and 28 or 30. So your brain doesn't fully develop until those ages anyway.
Yep.
And if you're like if you're true to yourself, if you really are looking for authenticity or something different, that's when you start taking action. It's been consistent with all of my friends. I know Mallory's has a similar experience with her divorce. And that's how she met me. It was like, so there's your 20s are just for mess ups and mistakes. And the weak people that do not act on their desires, I think miss out on what I would classify as divinity. Because my desires,
that's a weighted sentence there.
I know. And maybe because a lot of religious people think that you should curb your desires.
Yeah.
That your desires, you're in a fallen state, that you fell because Adam and Eve, and you need to repent, and you're always the problem, and only through Christ and through a Savior can you be lifted up. And I agree with that. Like, if there is a Savior, it's probably Jesus Christ. Like, there's no other options, really. I mean, I don't see a Savior in Islam or Buddhism. Like, if there was a mediator or someone whose sacrifice paved the way for me to like ascend to higher, what do they call it?
Like enlightenment?
Enlightenment, thank you.
Okay.
And that's a broad term, and I mean it to be broad. But if I'm going to choose that, like, there's nothing more sacred than my choices in this life. If I'm here to prove that I am a son of God, then get out of my fucking way. Let me run. Give me the keys to the Lambo and I'll drive it. Like, this is the keys. He gave me a body.
Yeah,
this
body.
is the Lambo.
Yeah.
Like, let me choose, right? And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll stand before the judgment seat and be wrong.
Yep.
But I'm going to own it, because I'm not going to do anything that's against my morals. And I'm super grateful for religion and other things that taught me those morals. I think a lot of them are ingrained in humanity as well.
Yeah.
Like, I'd love to see if most humans, they don't want to hurt animals.
I don't think so either.
No. I mean, most people are very good. I don't think a religion is needed to teach a human basic moral principles. Specific moral principles, yes, a religion is needed, right? Because every religion has its nuance. But you chose a more sacred path, and I'll slap the shit out of any Mormon who doesn't agree with that. I will, for your behalf. Like, you chose a more sacred path. You chose growth. You chose to pursue a desire that was 100% righteous, if you want to pull out that term. Yeah, like, you broke some marriage covenant. I don't think that matters if it's not being fulfilled anyway.
Yeah, there's got to be a choice in it all. There's got to be this daily stuff. I remember years ago, it was probably like 3 years ago. I'm married, right? And I'm in yoga, and I'm like practicing, and I'm looking at my ring, and I'm falling apart on my mat like every fucking time. Like, those four corners of my mat and I, like, we've like, you lose yourself on your mat, man. If you're not ready to like lose yourself, don't go to yoga. Don't tap into yourself. Just stay. You find out a lot. And I remember looking down at my ring and being like, I don't choose this. Like, we're not choosing this. I'm not being chosen. Like, what the fuck does a ring mean anyways in relationship where there's so much like dissonance, and there's like we're speaking different languages. Literally, we are speaking different languages, and we've since been able to talk. We're co-parenting really well. And we've, talked like, gosh, I wish we could have known each other's languages, like it's a shame that we couldn't get there. Yeah. And, it's just, you this covenant, so to speak, or this ideal. I don't know. I'm probably pretty jaded. I'm probably not a great person to talk about relationship with right now. I have a lot of ideals. I have a lot of hopes, and I believe in partnership, and I believe in some of those things. But some of those, all right. So then you have this marriage and covenants and all the things. Like, I just choose me every day. And I want to choose you every day. And if there are days that go by that we don't choose each other, let's talk about it. And if you need to take some time to not talk about it, like, then let's address it when you do feel good about it, and there's so much to learn and so much to talk about. And I'm like, okay, so wishful thinking about relationship, it's fine. We'll see where life lands me, and who knows, but it's interesting.
It is interesting. And I think too, what I've come to start avoiding is absolutism.
Oh, absolutes. Yes.
People who speak in absolutes, when I catch myself speaking in absolutes, like, I think the words that we speak have power. English is actually a Druidic language. It's Germanic. It comes from the German Druidic warlocks and witches, right?
No way.
Yeah, we're the only language that spells words. Spelling. Huh. You spell a word, like casting a spell.
That's
really other cool. Languages, they book scribe a word, or they scribe a word, or they they letter a word. They don't spell a word. And I'm sure there's other languages out there that do similar, but it's not a coincidence that English is the universal language of the earth. It's probably the most powerful language. It's the least descriptive as well compared to other languages, because I studied German, did a Mormon mission out there.
Oh, wow.
And like you can get really hyper descriptive and really detailed with German. That's why they love using science. Like Germans, very their ingenuity and their science are through the roof because their language actually helps prop that up, in my opinion. And so English, we actually like cast spells with the words we say. And it's just very, very important, like how we speak to ourselves and how we do all these things. But there is so much power in like choosing yourself over and over again in doing those things. And when you enter into these covenants, like think about the LDS church, they baptize a kid at 8 years old. Like he doesn't make that choice. And if he does, it's an ill-informed choice.
Oh, you're 8.
Yeah. And so we do all these like finite, final, absolutist things. Like a Mormon marriage, if it's done in the temple, is forever, for beyond death, right?
Yep.
For eternity. We can't even fathom that.
But here we are doing it.
And you were 18 years old?
I was 18. I was a baby.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be loved and pursued and all the things. And
yeah,
I guess
signed
that's what you do.
I signed a contract with the government to go be a combatant in the Marine Corps at 18.
As a baby.
And like, I think that's when I was most physically capable, but like mentally capable. Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's like a just. I mean, I agree that like the age of adulthood is 18, so you can sign and enter into contracts. But really to be that absolute at 18, or even when I got married, I was 21 and my wife was 21 at the time. So it's like, what do you really know? Like, how do you know that's how you're going to spend the next 60 to 70 years? And then into beyond this life, you're sitting there making deals, for lack of a better term, making deals with the devil. To like, you don't know. The whole point of making a deal with the devil is you don't understand the consequences.
Yeah.
And so if this is the one true church, and the consequences for you breaking a celestial marriage and for me ending a celestial marriage, and not like just holding to the rod, if the consequences are that high, like who the fuck let me sign that?
Seriously, you're like,
I didn't have all the answers.
It's so true. We get into these.
I wasn't developed enough to make that decision.
And you think that you are, though, when you're younger. Like my 16-year-old daughter, she pretty much knows everything. Like if I need any answers, I will ask her because she would know, right? Like she knows it. So I think I thought that I knew what the fuck was going on for sure. I'm pretty sure I thought I knew all the things, and I was completely capable of signing all of my life. Yeah. Forever, ever,
signing
never
your
ending.
life and eternity away. Now, I have nothing against marriage. I think it's actually very important to society. I think it's very important for families. I love being married. I just don't
love hearing that.
Like signing away stuff I don't understand. I can't fathom eternity. Why am I even thinking about it right now? Because the only thing that matters in this life right now is right now.
Right?
Nothing else. The future is not here yet. The past is already gone. So it's just right here. You and me. Mal here on the controls. Nobody else is here right now. This is it.
Don't you love thinking about that shit?
Yeah, my senses, I don't know what's happening at my friend's house. I'm not there. I can't extend my mind over there and think, feel, and smell and taste anything over there. So I am literally physically bound to this moment. My body is the limitation. My senses are the limitation. So that's all that really matters in this life. So everyone's sitting there worried about what's going to happen to you after you die.
I'm like, what's happening to me right now?
And to quote my barber who just lined me out today, thank you, Eli. I look fucking great. Thank you. But Eli,
his episode was awesome.
Oh, on Cody's?
He was on Cody's. That was great. I don't even know the guy, but he was amazing.
Yeah, he's going to be on here soon. But he said, if you want to know about what happens to you after this life, you can find a church and pay for it. And they'll tell you. They'll tell you all about it. You can go rent that knowledge. It's rentable. I can go pay to find out what happens to me after this life.
Dang.
But it's all a scam if you really think about it.
Oh, it feels scammy. The authenticness that you're talking about, I don't feel it. when I'm talking to someone. I'm feeling them talking and regurgitating what they've learned.
Yeah, I feel like someone's brainwashed, and that's from any religion. I've met Muslim people that I know are brainwashed. I've met Mormons. I've met even just Christians in general. And I lean towards Christianity. I don't think I would call myself a Christian because I don't think anybody today, I don't even think Christianity is like really about Yeshua. That's his real name. Yeah. If there's a son of God that ever lived on the earth who came and died for our sins, his name's not Jesus Christ. His name is Yeshua. And it was prophesied. Like, we don't even say the right name. So the devil's winning. The devil's winning. It's not even real. Like the language we speak, right? English is so important. Yeah. Like, why don't we call him by his real name?
I don't know.
Why don't we honor, like if your book like did become #1 seller, which I think it will, if it gets up there on the charts.
If it gets up there, it might. I mean, I've sold like 70 books. I'm pretty much a big deal here right now.
Imagine all of society. Yeah, you are a big deal. That's why you're here. Yeah, you're larger than life, Jane. But imagine if your book started getting really good. It gets sold, great reviews. You're being invited, but everyone just called you Jennifer.
I'm like, sup?
You did this great thing for society. Everybody's like, it's amazing. It changed my life. And then everyone's like, Jennifer Williams. Or no, Jennifer Christiansen. They get your name completely wrong. And then for the next 2 millennia, they get your name wrong. When you did the most momentous thing for the exaltation of mankind, like for men to be saved again and be exalted, and they can't even get your fucking name right.
I wonder if you'd be like, well, at least they got the intention right. Like, at least they figured that part out. Yeah. I mean,
But you know how the angels in heaven are always recording? Like, another point for Jesus Christ. Who is this guy? We've never met him. They're like, hey, Yeshua, how do you feel about that? And they're like, I don't know. They got the name wrong. Like, who?
He's like, I would like those brownie points, please. They're like, sorry, I didn't use your name.
Yeah, like if I just started calling Michael Jordan like Mitchell Jenkins, like got his name wrong. I'm like, yeah, number 23 on the Bulls, Mitchell Jenkins. The black guy who won 5 championships. That guy? Mitchell Jenkins. No, it's Michael Jordan. Like, that's his name. Say it right. But here we are calling him Jesus. So I think Christianity is completely misled. Even though I agree with it, I just think it's like, if I was the enemy, right? If I was the devil, that's how I would do it. I'd be like, I'm just going to change that. They'll get his name wrong for 2,000 years. He's just over there like
just over there messing around with things.
Like Jim Carrey Grinch level, he's like, got him.
Gotcha.
Tricked the whole religion to say the wrong name.
The whole world knows it this way. I love trying to think of like, too, you that made me think about where like the devil or whatever can go in there and do like tamper with, like, I always thought of that. I was always so curious. I'm like, this is so weird to me that like in my praying, I have to pray a certain way because somehow the God, like the deity, is like allowing his line of communication with me to be tampered with by the enemy.
Can you imagine?
I'm like, wait a minute. It's like, what's my code word? Wait, like you're going to tell me something wrong.
Like
wait,
if you called me,
like, how do I know?
Like if you called me and I was God, let's role play for a second.
Okay.
Like you
Hello,
established
do I get to be God?
But you said the right things. You said, the whole correct prayer, and like every religion has their own way or their own method. So you dial me up, I'm up on my cloud, and you call me and I'm like, Jane, is this a secure line? It's like a spy movie.
I'm like, yes, it is.
Yes, I said the prayer correctly. Okay. Good.
Okay, good.
Because otherwise, the devil would hear your prayer, like, or something.
He would have heard you and he would have led you astray. Now I'm going to give you an answer, and you're going to have to decide if this is the devil or me. Yeah. Because now you have, it's so weird. Like all the answers, I never knew growing up. I'm like, growing up. Wow, thank you, whiskey.
Do you want some more, by the way?
I always want more.
I mean, how much do you want to turn up?
But man, I was always so confused. Like, wait, but if I pray to God, like, I he's maybe going to answer, and then he's maybe not going to answer, and it might actually be Satan answering. So like, I got to make sure and like check with my religious guidelines. Does it match everything that went there? It was too confusing to me. I feel like I've never been very good at religion. I wasn't even when I was,
I'm so bad at it.
I was very bad at it. Like I'm also not like a very good employee either sometimes because I'm like, wait, why? Why don't we change this? Why don't we do it this way? Do you know if we do it this way, something else could happen? I just asked too many questions.
What's your human design?
Remind me, which one is that one? Human design is
manifester, generators.
Oh, okay. Yes, that one. I am a manifesting generator.
Yes, that's what Mal is as well. And I'm a manifester. And I'm not usually into that kind of stuff. I used to call it hocus pocus kind of shit. But the more you look into numerology, the more you look into astrology and like all the things that have dictated the weather, the seasons, the tilt of the earth, like the stars in the skies, it's part of us whether we like it or not. And I don't like it when people use it as an excuse. Like, oh, I'm a Virgo, so I have to be this way. And like they just use it as an excuse to be a shitty person. That's kind of, I think, dying away. More people are leaning into this stuff because it's actually like explaining more things. I think more people are becoming aware of these things. But
I think, well, the authenticity is growing. Like you're saying, it's very attractive. You know, when you're talking to someone that is daring to be authentic or someone that will like actually, I can tell, like when people, I mean, I can't always tell. That was very like cocky. I really enjoy when someone is conversating with me and they're really into it. Like they're engaging with me with their eyes. The questions that they're asking are actually like sincere, you know, compared to somebody else that's maybe just asking questions or maybe not even asking questions. It's like, hey, like they're questions like not meant to be answered kind of questions. And you can kind of catch the vibe. So the reason it's probably growing in that is that we're having more opportunities with more authentic conversations with more people that are like-minded like us. Like, what? You don't have all the answers either? Like, isn't this exciting? We get to figure out this moment and just find like, I mean, that's why there's so much irregulation with like our like autonomic, like our nervous systems and things. We're not at ease with ourselves. We're not doing the simple things of life by just returning back home and asking simple questions to ourselves, but they hurt. Like going through my process of writing the book was like, ooh, I don't want to go there. I don't want to answer those questions to myself. I don't want to feel that again. As much as I want to imagine all of the blissful moments and all the exciting, like inquisitive, childlike moments, like if I remember all of me, that means I remember the moments that hurt like hell and the moments that I failed and the moments that my partner failed and the moments that like I wanted to be done with, you know, it's just like you get into these ruts or these moments where I have a child and she's crying and I don't know what the fuck to do. And I'm like, I don't know how to do this. I got pregnant missing 1 day of birth control, man. Like my daughter was like, bam. Watch out. And I was not ready. I knew I wasn't ready. So I have this baby and she's crying. And so many moms and dads, we can relate with this. Like we get thrown into these things where it's like, oh, well, I guess I'm going to do this. Like, okay, I can do this. Relationship does the same things. And then it leaves us in these places where it leaves us bleeding. And we're like, I don't know how to stop this. I don't know how to do it. But when we can like calm ourselves down, get rid of expectations, be like, okay, I may not know how to do this, but I can do right now.
Yeah.
I can do the next 15 minutes.
I can take the next step.
I can do the next thing. Yeah. And it's like, I may have this future outlined for me. Like, okay, at some point, my daughter hopefully will sleep longer than 15 minutes. Great. Right now, she isn't. Like, that's my life right now. Then you make these adjustments as they grow. At some point, you know, I can happily report she sleeps longer than 15 minutes now. You know, 16.
At 16.
She can sleep quite a bit.
Every couple of minutes. Yeah, that'd be hard. But yeah, you're exactly right. It's like, you just said it well. I don't even think I need to add to that. That was just beautifully said.
Well, thank you very much. Should have written it. Should have added it to my book. Yeah. All right.
Well, recorded. It's recorded, so.
Yeah, that's right. We're recording.
Yeah. We'll have a transcript sent to you.
Book 2. I still don't have a name for my second
Are you
book.
doing a second book?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right on.
I've already started compiling. I kind of know what I want to do. I would like to transition. I mean, that's goals for me, is to be able to transition. Words tricky. Tricksy for myself right now. Like I love doing hair. It's the bread of money. It's how I'm able to support myself right now. But
you're good at it too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mal likes the coloring you've given.
Thank you. I love it. And it's always so much more than hair. You know, it's about connecting with my clients. I loved Eli's podcast because he got and he talks about it. I'm like, yes, that's so true.
On the way out the door, he said it. He's like, it's not even, he's like, you know, you're going to get a good cut when you go to Eli. But he's like, I'm more focused. He's like, now that I have that down, he's like, I can always get better in that area and do better. But he's like, I have it down. And now he's like, just trying to create an experience for people.
It is. It is so much more than hair. And there's so much like with touch and with like, they're sitting in my chair. I mean, I get clients anywhere between like my average is about, if it's a men's haircut, you're probably only, 35, 45 minutes. But if you're like in my chair, I mean, you're an hour to 3 hours that I get to connect with you and I get to hear about your life. I get to explore, and then we get to do it again in 6 weeks. Like, when else do you get to talk to somebody like that? Like, it's amazing.
Podcasting.
Yeah, right?
We're very similar in that regard, where we, by proxy, just being producers for podcasts, we get to hear all that.
You guys have it made. Oof.
No, we're trying to get it made, but we do have it pretty good. Like, I'm super grateful for Mallory and her experience with audio and just everything that's transpired. Like, it's brought us to this, and now we're doing this full time, and it's fucking awesome.
Dude.
It's scary as shit though.
Because
we're like, we were talking at the beginning, like we have 3 employees and 2 interns that are going to start paid positions here in the next couple of weeks. And so,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's going, it's good. But it's just kind of like what you said with the baby. It's like, I can do right now. I can do today. I might not know what tomorrow's going to bring, but I can do today. I can do the hell out of today.
Yeah. And be aware, right? Mm-hmm. Be conscious. That's one thing I noticed too, is that I feel like there have been moments, tell me if this has happened in your life, where all of a sudden it's like you're awake for a minute and you're like, where the fuck has my life been?
Yeah.
It's like that person of you, the version of you that's like awake and aware and knowing is like been asleep for something, like not been aware. And I'm like, where have you been, Jane? Like, where? It's crazy. So this year, like this season of my life, I've changed everything about my vision board and about like, and she thinks she did. And so she could, or whatever, that's all over my wall. Cause I'm like, I'm pretty sure I can do this,
Isn't that in your book too?
I don't think it is. I think I did say it in maybe a podcast
like that.
I think I said, like I'm simply Jane and you're simply you.
Oh, yeah.
That's and we're imperfect or something.
No, I just remember you said that on a podcast.
I think I said it on a podcast, but I want to see my life. And I've been in the clouds, which is great. It's the way I vision and I see the world, but I don't enter into my body a ton until this last year. I haven't been the somatic version of Jane, this version that's like, oh my gosh, I kind of like being in this body. Like I can kind of feel what it's like and I can see what it looks like through my eyeballs rather than like my mental imaging. I don't know if it makes sense, but I don't know if you've had experiences like that. But for me, when I jump in my body, it's totally different than when I am going throughout my days and my life in my mental space.
It's there's certain experiences I've had that have jolted me into exactly where I was, like being like 100% grounded into the exact thing I was doing. And they usually involved a lot of adrenaline. And then it was in the afterthought of that adrenaline, I was like that just happened. Like I just experienced that like fully, right? Wow. And it was me. And like just you're so hyper aware of what you're feeling, what's happening, the sounds, smells, touch. And so, Mal's seen me get triggered a little bit from like, like we were at a rave one time, just like we're not super big rave goers, but we went once with some friends, and I was doing great. I thought I was going to be a little bit weird around the crowds, but I normally am. But with Mal, I was like, I'm feeling loose. I'm feeling good.
Okay.
And then some pyrotechnics went off, and I was rather close to the stage.
Oh.
And I just like froze. I was like, but it was related to a moment that was so like hyper real, like hype. It was an experience. So yeah, those moments where you're kind of like wherever you're just like 100% present and nothing else matters, and nothing, it's either hyper stressful and like PTSD creating, or like it's so peaceful and calming. There's like, I think there's a wide spectrum of experiences that you could have that are grounding you to that reality.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a great point. But yeah, like your inner self kind of like wakes up sometimes.
It does.
And you're like,
it's like, do you want to stay here longer? Like you have to choose to. It's not just that it's happening anymore. Like it's a choice, because it's so far out of what my habit was. My habit was not being in my body. My habit was not paying attention to what I am actually doing every day. What are the thoughts that I'm thinking? How am I designing this life? Like I could have my intentions, but intentions are just simply intentions unless you do something about it, right? Like it's like I've
what are some things that you do to like get into that state of mind?
Oh, that's such a good question. Meditation's key for me, as far as like honing myself back into myself when I tend to get like overthinking. So I'll just take some deep breaths, and I've meditated. My practice, I usually do a morning meditation and an evening meditation. So, my morning meditations usually don't have, they're more like a moving meditation where I'm choosing to be in my body, choosing to do like, what does it feel like? I'll do yoga. And then my evening meditations are, sometimes I meditate with hape to really ground myself, or I always will just take some deep breaths. So maybe I'll do some Wim Hof breathing so I can get that like sensation of being in my body. But almost always I will like touch my arms, and I will like feel my hands. Sometimes I'll like touch my face, and I'm like, okay, Jane, you are like, you're choosing this, and are you like, I'm proud of you. Like, you did really good today. And I'll like talk to myself. Sometimes I write myself little love notes.
You're like checking in.
I'm just checking in. It's exactly it. So that's checking in. It's
like
fabulous. That was a very quicker way of saying it than what I just described.
You led me. Yeah, you led me to that. So it's like a check-in though.
Yeah.
So that's basically what you're doing when you're like grounding yourself or meditating. You're checking in with your inner self, right?
Yeah.
And you're saying, is this how aligned with my inner self, with my true self, or at least what you know to be your true self? Because I think you're always, it can change and it can uncover, and you can, that's the beauty of life. You can do a 180 if you want to go the other way.
Yeah.
You could,
It's true. It's also a feeling. So, okay, like if I'm meditating and I'm like, it isn't always in my like thinking, because sometimes I try to get out. It's like a feeling. Like it's like this. My favorite book is called so it's the same woman that wrote the Law of Attraction, like The Secret. She wrote another book called The Greatest Secret. And I have listened to that book. I can't even, probably in the last 2 years, I probably listened to it like 7 times. Like it's just usually on repeat in my space. And it is about being in the moment. So it'd be like Eckhart Tolle's like Power of Now, or like just the moment. I'm like, if these people have experienced the most radical shifting moments of their life in the moment of now, then how do you connect to now? Like, what is that? Like, okay, I'm here now. What does that really even look like? Is my life radically shifting? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe it's slower than other people's. I don't know. I'm maybe sometimes a slow learner that way. But it's like this feeling, like sometimes it's insane. I will tap into something that is like, whoa, I just tapped into something. I don't know what that was, but it's like really cool. And so that those moments within meditations, usually it's in the evening, but I try to, even though I'm checking in with myself, and that's usually how I will start, is I will check in with myself to start. But then a lot of it is like, if I can get into like some breathing or some like, just, I want to experience and create in my now. What is in my now? Like, and then it's like she does this thing where she talks about like awareness. So you like take your awareness and you expand it to just being huge. Like, am I aware? And so it's just really cool, really powerful. And that's awesome. That feels really good. I'm like, I want to live in that state because my body hasn't always felt good. I've had traumas. I've had shit happen in my life that I've wanted to run from, wanted to hide from, wanted to be like, fuck the world. I'm done. I want to I've tried to commit suicide. Like I've been in this space where I'm like, my body is not safe, and it's not true. It's a story that I've done to protect myself, but it is no longer true. My body is safe to inhabit. I am safe to inhabit. My thoughts are like, my relationships are not scary to enter into. I don't have to be scared to talk to someone. I can be open. I can be myself.
Change isn't scary.
Change doesn't have to be so scary. It's actually inevitable for life.
Yeah.
So,
and that's what I think
those are. Yeah.
That's why I commend you, or anybody that's willing to break a societal norm to pursue something that's a deep desire for them. Like in both of our instances, a divorce, or pursuing a particular career, or ending a career to start a business, or I don't know, to just drop it all and go be a hobo somewhere and shit on the street in San Francisco. You know, something like that. Whatever calls to you.
That calls for you, go for it.
I think it takes a lot of courage to do that. And then once you do it, you're like, oh, this is actually pretty easy.
Yeah, it feels better. Mm-hmm. It feels better. I remember saying that Cody asked something about like what's important. I can't remember exactly how he asked it, but I was like, it's really important for me to feel good. And I think that was a very broad sentence of the word. It's like for me, what that means is this feeling of I am good. Like that feeling that it's good that I am here. It is good that I'm in this position.
It's not like a fleeting, like, oh, I'm feeling.
Yeah, like I'm feeling so good. I just got a Lambo or whatever. I mean,
it's not a superficial feeling.
It isn't. You're
talking about
an inside.
Yeah, you're almost measuring your own self. Like you're checking in again.
Yeah,
that keeps coming up, but. Yep. Yeah, you're checking in with your true self. Is this aligned with me?
Yeah, our authenticness. That delicious
bringing
little
it
girl.
Full circle.
Yeah, bringing it in.
Well, sweet, Jane. Yeah. I've really enjoyed this episode so far. How are you feeling?
This is fun. I like it.
Yeah, you were saying you really enjoy when people like do you feel some authentic conversation happening today?
Oh, for sure.
It's like
for sure. I feel like every time we connect, every time. I think the three of us, we could talk forever.
I know.
And it's so good.
We should get Mal on here.
I know.
She doesn't want to be. Do you want to be mic'd up next time, Mal?
Yeah, she does.
Mallory, where are you? Where are you, Mallory? It's like what is that Christmas movie, A Wonderful Life? Mary.
Oh yeah.
Mary, where are you, Mary?
You did it pretty good. What is that guy's name?
Mallory, where are you? I saw an angel, Mallory, in the spirit of Christmas. Yeah, that old-timey stuff.
Okay, like, are you going to do voices or what? Like, can you please do some audible books with some voices? You really need to is a stupid word, right? But it would be very entertaining. It's always entertaining.
I nerd out on audiobooks. Like, I get a heavy dose of the self-help books, but I was talking to a good friend of mine, and he's like very hyper successful. Okay. He's like, don't tell anybody, but he's like, I listen to sci-fi books every now and then or whatever. And I'm like, hell yeah, dude. Why don't you say that more? But it's so funny because like the self-help world, it's almost become a religious cult for a lot of people.
Oh, it does. And it's like, you can't get enough. Have you read this one? Have you read this one? Have you read this one? And I mean, I catch myself doing it. I'm like, but I love this one. Did you know in The Art of Extraordinary Confidence, it said this and it totally unlocked this. Yeah. I'm like, shit.
Or people are like, I always wake up at 4 a.m. and I meditate.
4 a.m. club.
I meditate for 3 seconds because I'm so good at it. And then I eat 5 raw eggs and do push-ups upside down inside my washing machine at full blast. So it's like a cold plunge washing machine, push-ups at the same time. And then I get in a sauna, but it's actually just a flamethrower that my wife uses on me every morning. And then it's 5 a.m. and then I have breakfast.
It's 5 a.m. It's only been an hour for all of that.
I mean, there's a lot of wisdom to be had and shared, but a lot of people, again, they speak in absolutes. And for them, some people like that rigidity every day. And I like a structured morning and stuff, but I have to have some fluidity. Mm-hmm. One of our previous guests on this podcast who sat right there, his name's Ryan Seacrest. Shout out to Ryan. Love you, dude. He's also,
hey, Ryan.
He's a manifester as well. Okay. And like, I resonate so much with him because he's like, I have to have a very structured morning and be very effective. And then after that, I have to be wild and free and just like have some fluidity to my day. And I'm like, dude, that's exactly what I have. Like, I cannot
that.
I have to have some variety in my day. I go crazy if I don't.
If it's too structured.
Yeah. Which is so counterintuitive for me joining the military at a young age, but
did you really know yourself at 18?
No, not really.
You made decisions that you were like,
I knew enough. Like, you know how, religious people, they'll say like they felt the Holy Spirit or like, the Spirit of God told me to do something. And I totally believe in something like that. I think it's deeply personal. And if the Holy Spirit is telling you to tell someone else how they should live, that's probably fucking wrong.
Yeah.
It's only for you. But the most like in tune spiritual experience I've ever had is I was asking God if I should join the military, the Marines specifically.
Interesting.
And like, I got this like wave of emotion. It was like so in line with who I was at the time and I'm very grateful for that. I loved the military. I thought it was awesome. And, it was just, I knew from like when I was a young kid, that's what I wanted to do. And so it's really kind of weird that like who needs all this flexibility and like choice would be drawn to that rigidity, but it was something that I chose. And so I loved the structure. I loved the, because in the military, there's this ability that they give you. And I think they do it by design, but they make so many decisions for you that it leaves you free and clear to focus on your job.
That's interesting because you don't have to.
Choose what to wear.
They take it from you. Like
you don't have to choose what to wear.
Yep.
You don't have to choose what and when you eat. You just have to be there. If you want food from the chow hall, you got to be there.
Yep.
So if you want food, like they just toss you an MRE and you're like, I guess I'm eating this piece of shit MRE omelet, Gross. Like you don't get to choose, and they're actually not that bad.
Sounds terrible.
Anybody they're bad only if you eat them consecutively for like months or weeks.
Okay, but if you have one like, here or there.
God. But even if I had like a Wagyu steak every day for like every single day, I would probably get sick of it. You would need a little bit of variety, but anyway, the point is that it takes away so much choice that doesn't matter. Like like as a teenage girl, I'm sure you could relate, or like anybody in life, how much time did you spend thinking and worrying about like what to wear for just like a normal day at school?
Totally. I took a lot of time and I tried a lot of different outfits on, and my room became very messy some mornings where I'm like, shit, I need to find something at least.
Yeah. And that's expending energy. Right. Yep. So I've, reading these books, I'm listening to podcasts that a lot of successful people do. They have very simple wardrobes. They can class it up or down depending on an occasion, but their day to day is like super simple. They have like 10 of the same shirts, maybe just a couple different colors. And like, they don't spend any time thinking about what they have to wear. It's already made for them.
You know what? And I do love that too. Like when I have the ease, like when I have my style and I'm like, oh, this is Jane. It's when I kind of try to expand my wardrobe where I'm like, and I get things and then they end up sitting there with tags on or not. And I'm like, oh, I didn't love that I'm not using this in a way that I want to be using this. I can see like, I know Jane staple pieces. Like if I go in, I know if it's like when that's something that Jane wears. Yep. But compared to something that I'm like, oh, this is not something that I wear.
This is going to take effort and work and energy for me to make this work.
Totally. And then it's like, but I'll work it. And I have certain times I'm like, do I want to expand my wardrobe? Do I not? But I can see that. If you know yourself well enough and you could be like, this is exactly what my wardrobe is and this is how I like to do it. Like there's a lot of power in that.
Yeah, it's like they're so high, they're so effective that you don't even need to consider that, right? And that's what I miss about them. The structure of the military is that those like decisions that don't really matter. I would much rather focus my energy as an infantry squad leader to like where I'm going to set my line of departure for an attack, or like, you know, where's a casualty collect, like looking at a map. I'm spending energy planning that movement for my guys rather than being like, oh, what am I going to wear? Like, what am I going to wear to the firefight? What if the enemy sees me? I'm just going to be just a drag. You know, they're not going to appreciate there's no question that stupid, silly stuff. It's just like, be here at this time, do these things, spend your energy on the most important decisions. And it's not to say that I still like, I like to look good and I like to wear clothes, but if I'm running a business or just going through life, it's like, you don't need to expend that much energy every day. Yeah. You know, maybe for the New Year's Eve party, right? Or the Christmas, or, you know, the Thanksgiving dinner or something like, you know, there's occasions, but anyway.
And you got to let go of what other people are thinking probably in those moments too, right? Like you feel so secure in who you are and what you chose and what you did. Cause like when you're in the military, it doesn't matter. Like no one's judging you on your outfit. So you don't even have to think about it, right? Yeah. Like you go to a New Year's Eve party, you might have that thought of like, oh, well, do I fit in? Do I not? Like, how does that look like? But if you're like so secure, like, dang, this dress is lit. I love it. I feel so good. Or in your case, you're like, this outfit, like, I feel great. Yeah. Then you're going to have that, like, coming out of you. And then if other people don't like it, it doesn't even matter because you like it and your partner likes it. And you're just... probably that.
You reminded me of something about the military though, but you do have standards. Your uniform has to be pressed, and like depending on what you're doing. If I'm going out in the mud, they don't care. But if you're walking around the barracks, you know, there's two types of Marines. There's a field Marine and a barracks Marine.
Okay.
The barracks Marine is all pomp and circumstance, and like everything's pressed and ironed and perfect, and their uniform is a little too clean. Like if it's a dress uniform, it should be perfect, right? But if it's like your utility uniform, like and camouflage,
it's still perfect,
you're like,
you might be judged.
But like, you can always tell like a good infantry Marine, like his uniform's going to look like shit, but his weapon is like perfectly clean. All of his gear and equipment is orderly, cleaned, maintained, but then his uniform, and like maybe he missed the spot shaving. He's like, that's a field Marine, you know? So yeah, but they will judge you very hard. I've had to buzz my hair completely off because of some new haircut lady right out of Paul Mitchell school, you know, has never done a fade, you know, a high and tight fade, and she screws it up, and I look like a chode walking in. I'm like, I'm going to get my ass chewed if I don't buzz. So I'm just in the car, like buzzing my head as I drive. Like it's happened, or in the parking lot, you know. I always had a pair of clippers just in case, but anyway. That's cool. But yeah, I feel like we could talk forever. Is there anything else you want to discuss?
No, I mean, I just am thankful. Thank you for having me. I'm choosing to talk authentically and cool and just random shit.
Do you feel like you were able to express who Jane is today? A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, for sure.
I mean, like, as much as you can in one podcast.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. So the question is, when are you going to start your podcast?
I know. You guys know it. I will. A little gift of gab is going to be coming.
Is that the podcast name?
I feel like that would be a good name. I feel like gift of gab is going to be a delicious
There's
one.
I think we searched it. There's other podcasts out there. There's another one called Gift of Gab, but
well, then we don't want that one.
It doesn't matter though.
Gabbing with Jane.
You can have,
it's probably not that.
Like on the podcast platforms, you can have duplicates. Yeah, because they're different people, but it depends too. I've had, I think even this name of the podcast, there's another one called Authentic Identity, but they did like one episode in like 2019 or something.
You're like, well, we're going to do more than that.
I'm like,
right now.
Ours now.
So suck it. Yeah. So in answer to that, I don't know. Like
when it feels right.
Yeah, when it feels right. When it's when it aligns in my budget. I'm Dave Ramseying my life right now, so I am like, motherfucker. Am I even going to be able to go get coffee? Like,
and that's what we can help. That's what we can help too. Oh yeah, coffee. Yeah, are you going to cut out coffee? Like
what? Like I might have to sell my car. Oh, she's so pretty. I don't know that I'll do.
What do you drive?
FJ Cruiser.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's pretty. She's so thirsty. I just wish that she wasn't. I wish that she could be a little less thirsty. So at least my gas bill was a little less high. It's fine. The Dave Ramsey problem is that I have a car payment on it. So, but she's my only debt. So like all I got to do is like throw all that money towards her. It's gonna be fine, and then start with life, I guess. And
I've never talked to you about Dave Ramsey. I actually don't like Dave Ramsey's philosophies.
Dude, I've read one book. Here's the thing. I have this idea of future partnership at some point in my life. I imagine that will be a step I take. And I'm like, okay, well, like I really want them to align in these certain ways. And then I'm like, financially, like I want them to have like some financial security. I want them to know where they're going in their lives. I want them to be able to take care of themselves and different things. And I'm like, wow, I have to be a very nice contributing member to my own world. Like I have to know where I'm at. I have to know where like all the things are so that I'm in alignment to that person, right?
Yeah.
Like I would be, and so I'm like in all the things. So with, exes, like that they're in co-partnership and they can co-parent and they can talk to each other. I'm like, well, shit, that means I have to go like talk with my partner. So all the things that I'm like trying to align within future partnership for me, I'm like, well, Jane, you better get on board and do it. So I don't know how to budget. I don't know how to do those things, but I want that in partnership. So I'm like, well, the best way to do it is to start learning the lingo. So I bought like 6 different books because that's how I'm going to learn. And there's 6 different people that have different ideas so that I can understand at least the language of finance that I just am like, I have money in my account. I'm fine. What am I'm doing great. No, apparently that's not how you do finances. There's a lot more to that.
Oh, there's so much more. And like I've done it wrong. And like what I don't like about Dave Ramsey's stuff is I think his skills of budgeting and saving money are super important. I don't think there's like a wealthy person out there that would like disagree with like the fundamentals he teaches, but like there is something called a mindset of abundance. There is enough. There is enough for me to go earn. There's enough for me to accumulate. There is enough. Like I can afford these things. I can do that.
Yeah.
And like if you, instead of just paying off your debts completely, obviously you want to pay those off accelerated, but if you can't, just put that money towards other things. Like me and Mal talk about this all the time because we have business credit cards that we use often, and we use them healthily, and we rotate and we cycle money through them. But just in the couple of years I've worked in the door-to-door sales industry, and then with Mal with our own business, like we've overcome a lot of these old stigmas of like never use credit cards and like never.
Oh yeah, because he would say that. They would say there's a lot of so far the 3 different books that I've read. The guy you need a budget, same thing. Like there's people that are like debt is no, never go into it. And I don't know where I feel about it yet. I mean, I'm just a brand new baby at any of this, so I don't really have like a lot. I just know I want to be able to take care of myself, and I might get in trouble if I spend bigger than what I have. And so, that's a fundamental that he's correct on. Yeah.
But it's the mindset of like never using the tools that are designed for society to use. Like people that are playing the game, they use credit cards all the time.
Dude, some people know how to like leverage debt, and they're really good at it. I just don't want to because I'm too scared that I would get stuck in it. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not. I will. I really like the guy that created YNAB. You Need a Budget. I can't remember his name. Dang it. But he's great. His book's been great so far. But I really like it. He's like, don't spend your future money. Like, so if I have a paycheck coming up, and I know that like, say I'm getting paid on Friday or something, or I have a client coming in, whatever, then I can't spend Friday's money on Thursday. I don't have it yet. Like I have to spend Thursday's Money Thursday. So you like age your money. So I really love that because I think sometimes I get into that, or I have in my past, where I'm like, oh, I know that it's coming in, but you never know anything for certain in your future. So when you can think, what the other coolest thing is when you start thinking finances, like it's crazy cool how it's starting to relate to other areas of my life where I'm like, oh, I'm not going to extend too much here, actually, because this is all I have right now. And I'm like relating it to money. Well, yeah. I'm like, wow, you know Jane, look at you like being so cool with like knowing about.
You just nailed it. I've recently, Mal and I've been talking about this, but money is just energy.
I'm starting to understand that maybe on
you
like
could spend your energy on like someone who doesn't care about you.
Yeah.
And you could fawn over and trip over someone that doesn't care about you. Like, to me, it's the equivalent of going to like a Taylor Swift concert and being like, so much energy is expended at those concerts for someone like I'm never going to meet Taylor Swift. So if I went to a Taylor Swift concert, I would just be giving my energy and my money to that stage. And if that's what people want to do, that's great. But if I'm short on energy, like, why don't I give that same energy to starting my own business? If I was that excited to start my own business, to like, I started shaking and screaming when I see Taylor Swift or like the Beatles, you know, like what if people were that stoked to like take ownership of their life?
Oof, we'd be all so excited. And I'd do the same thing. I'm like, oh my God, Blake and Mallory, look at what you guys are creating. Actually, I totally am already feeling that way. But I mean, I would say it maybe louder and bigger and excited.
Yeah. So it's just energy. It comes in, it comes out. Like if I hold all my energy and I'm like, I'm never going to waste energy working out. Cumulatively over time, I will lose all of my energy because I'm not investing my energy back into health and a body with strength and, you know, durability and longevity. So if I just hold on to my energy and I'm like, I'm never going to spend a day working out. That's such a great analogy because like, if I'm just going to hold on to my money and I'm never going to spend it on anything, like I don't want to waste my money on anything. Like those are the most broke people.
Interesting.
And when I was a salesman, like I'd go into people's homes like that and they had that mindset. No, I can't. Like I can't because we have to have the kids have to get a little bit of something for Christmas and everything. And I understand that that's hard for people. But like if you know, what I was selling was actually an investment in their home and it would save them so much money on windows over the life of their home. I'm like, you guys plan to be here for 20 years. Yeah, there's nothing, unless something unforeseen happens. But even if you sell the home, the windows were worth more. They grow with equity. So that it's like an investment in the property. And they're like, no, I don't want to spend any energy. So when I have enough energy to spend it on something that requires energy, I have it. I'm like, well, this is the thing you need to spend. And they're like, no, because something else might come along. I'm like, well, that's what you said to the last salesman. That's what you said to the last person. So they're just holding on to their money. It's scarcity. Like there's not enough energy.
Yeah, I don't think scarcity is great.
No, and that's why I disagree. And I think a lot of people disagree with Dave Ramsey. The people I've interviewed, the people that podcast with us, they've made their wealth by not doing what Dave Ramsey said.
Really?
Right? Like taking bigger risks and spending money on investments and spending money on things like self-help and things, and not like let's say you had 10 extra grand and you could spend that on a course on how to 10x your hair salon and make more money. Or you could spend 10 grand and just put it on your mortgage just to feel good at night. Oh, I'm ahead. I'm finally ahead. I paid off my debt. It's going down faster. I paid 10 grand towards my car so I can own it. Right? It's like, well, what if you spent 10 grand on learning something better that's going to make you 10 times more money?
Yeah, because that's where it would have to be applicable. Because I think that you could maybe get trapped in this, like, I need to do more, I need to get more, I need to do this, like that search and that hunt for knowing more.
Yeah.
Compared to
there's an extreme.
Take action that you do have I'm capable now to make a shitload of money, and I'm capable after $10,000 of a course. So what is it? It's probably finding that alignment. And if you take that course, you better take fucking action.
Yeah.
You know, that's exactly where it is. Like, don't just take the fucking course because you're like, I'm going to do it. And then you don't do shit. Like,
that's a good point,
do
Jane.
it.
That's a really good point.
Mic drop. Boom.
Yeah, you're if you spend like $10,000 is a measurement of like energy. You better match that with your own work ethic energy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Well, thank you.
But anyway, that's awesome. I'm at the end of this cigar here. How you doing?
We did good.
Cool.
Yeah, my drink was amazing. Company is amazing. Podcast is going to be amazing.
It always is. Yeah, and shout out to Jared and Mitch. Sorry you guys couldn't be here for this one.
No, guys.
We'll get another one. We'll get you back on with them because they're hilarious. You saw the clips.
I did. Those were very fun.
Funny.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Mal, how are we doing on time?
Like 1:40ish.
Shit.
Dude, we did good.
Jane, you know how to hold a conversation, that's for sure. So
never a dull moment. It's fine.
Never a dull moment with Jane. Well, how can people find you?
Yeah, probably Instagram was where we'll hear it with this, you know.
Yeah,
Jane Love Williams, LUV, and Simple Jane. TheSimpleJane.com.
TheSimpleJane.com.
Yep.
Jane Love, L-U-V.
L-U-V Williams.
On Instagram. What other platforms are you on?
Mostly just Instagram, probably Facebook. And then I have Hair Love by Jane, but the L-O-V-E, Hair Love by Jane is my work platform.
Okay, that's for bookings for hair.
Yeah, that's like with hair, and if you want to call it, you know. But my world like this world is probably mostly Instagram, Facebook, Messenger. I mean, if you were to email me from my site, I don't even know where it would go, so I wouldn't choose that route.
So
I made it, so it's not so great, and it's fine.
Cool.
It's great. I think I even have my phone number on there. You can text me.
Oh, okay, cool. So if you want Jane's number, are you available? Are you single? Oh, I was going to say something.
Like, text me, let's go out. It's fine.
Yeah, Jane, hit Jane up. She likes to go out for cocktails.
Apparently I like an amaretto, not a whiskey sour. It's an amaretto sour.
Amaretto sour, yeah.
It was delicious. Thank you.
Amaretto is an Italian liqueur. It's made from cherries. And I didn't know that until we bought it and I was reading it. I'm like, oh, that's what amaretto is.
Dang. Okay, I'm gonna have to take a little. I'm gonna have to take a little sip. Yeah, when we get inside, I want to just try just the amarillo.
Yeah, amaretto.
Amaretto.
Amarillo is
an animal.
Armadillo is an animal. Amarillo was a town.
We should have stopped this podcast a while ago now.
Yeah.
What's an armadillo?
Oh, that's a wrap, Mal. That's a wrap.
It's a wrap.